everybody, and welcome back to Gaming on Caffeine. My name is Isaac, and we are back playing some Feed the Beast Horizons Daybreaker for episode 13. And today, I want to improve our power generation systems using some pretty cool new multi-blocks from Immersive Engineering. So, there are actually a bunch of machines and multi-blocks and things that produce power and can transfer power in Immersive Engineering, and they do it in kind of a really cool, unique way that I think's really cool. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work with some windmills. Now, these are very similar to the windmills from Mekanism. They work in a similar way. They passively produce power, and the higher up you put them, the more power they generate. Now, when it came to the turbine from Mekanism, one of the reasons why I didn't want to put it at like Y level 256 was because then we would have to run cables all the way back down from Y level 256 down to our little system here to power all of our things. And while the same is true in a sense for all of the machines from Immersive Engineering, you can actually transfer power using cables in a pretty unique way, which is a little bit more realistic than the cables that we would have had to use for Mekanism. So the first thing we're going to do is obviously go ahead and make one of these windmills. We're going to skip the basic windmill, which is simply made using an iron, and then 4 windmill blades, which are made using some of this treated wood and treated sticks, which is where all of that creosote oil that we've been building up is going to come in useful. And we're going to jump straight on to the improved windmill, which is made using a steel ingot surrounded by 8 improved windmill blades. These are made using 4 tough fabric as well as 1 windmill blade. Now, the tough fabric is made using a stick and some industrial hemp fiber. Now, what I'm going to do here real quick is I'm going to go to sleep. Okay, so the way that we get the industrial hemp that we need for these improved windmills, this industrial hemp fiber, is actually by growing industrial hemp. And if we were to head on outside and break a couple of pieces of grass, we should have a little bit of a chance of getting some of this stuff here. This stuff is industrial hemp seeds. Now, what I've gone ahead and done between episodes is I went ahead and tested this, so we have a little bit of industrial hemp growing over here, and this stuff is actually fairly easy to make. Now, I don't really fancy fighting you, but you know what? We'll do it. Flipping get out of here. Get the heck out. This is my place. You're not wanted here. Alright, so all we gotta do basically to get this industrial hemp to grow up, bone meal it, it gets another layer, break that top layer, and we get more industrial hemp seeds as well as some of this industrial hemp fiber, so it's actually really easy to get. And another thing I've done since the end of last episode is I've gone ahead, researched bone meal, and just made an absolute ton of it, which is now stored in one of our chests back at home. So we have an absolute butt ton of bone meal, so we can make a ton of industrial hemp. So what I'm going to do, guys, right now is I'm going to go away. I'm going to do this for a little while. Actually, before we do that, I think we can probably 38. How many do we need? We need 8 of these, which means we need 32 of these, which means we need whatever 32 times 8 is, which is basically a lot of industrial hemp. I'm going to go away, guys. I'm going to make flipping a butt ton. I'm going to do this for like another 5 minutes. I'll be back in a second. And a little while later, we now have just over 5 stacks of this industrial hemp fiber. So, if we were to go ahead and grab a fair bit of wood, head on down to all of our creosote oil. I'm going to quickly make a crafting table for down here, because I think it's going to be a lot easier than heading back up and downstairs constantly. If we throw that down like that and just grab some buckets worth of creosote oil, we should be able to go ahead and start doing something like this, and getting ourselves some treated wooden planks. Now, we are going to need an absolute ton of these, and when I say an absolute ton, I mean an absolute ton of these, because as I showed you before, we need an absolute ton of this treated wood in order to do anything. It would be actually a lot nicer if this was like a project bench, and all of the stuff would stay in it, but that's fine. We're going to have to just kind of fill this up consistently, and just keep putting stuff in, keep filling this up, keep getting ourselves some more treated wood, rinse and repeat over and over and over again until we have an absolute ton of this stuff. 48 might be enough for now. We'll head on up and we'll try it. Let's see if we have enough to make ourselves our first windmill. So, we're going to need, first of all, we're going to need 8 of these. We're going to need 8 windmill blades, each of which is 3 treated wooden planks as well as these treated sticks. So, let's go ahead and make just like quite a lot of these treated sticks and quite a lot of the treated wood. And then if we go ahead and do something, I'm not going to shift click it in because it's going to break. If we do something like this, that's just enough to get us 8 of those. Nice. So we got 8 of those. Now we're going to need to go ahead and make an absolute ton of these guys, these tough fabrics. Thankfully, these guys do not require treated sticks. They just require normal sticks. So if we were to go ahead and do something like this, and then kind of just do something like this, surrounded with the industrial hemp fiber, we can go ahead and grab ourselves an absolute ton of these. So we'll do that. I'm going to shift right click there. It didn't break, which is good. Let's go ahead and kind of split these up a little bit. There we go. That gets us a very nice amount. That gets us 39 of those, which I think should be more than enough. There's 4. We'll throw you in the middle. That's not how that's done. It's done like this. There we go. We'll take 4. We'll take 7 and 8. Nice. And then if we go ahead and surround this like so around one of these steel ingots, which we will have lying around somewhere in one of these chests, and I really need to come up with a better system for organizing our stuff, or at least go ahead and implement the current system we have over here to some of these chests, because this is just an absolute mess of just everything right now. It is terrible. I cannot see anything, but you know what we can always do? We can always go ahead and grab some coal, grab some iron, and make our own steel. I'm pretty sure we do have some lying around somewhere, but that's fine. Let's do something like this. You can go in the middle. We're going to need some more steel later on today anyway, so let's just go ahead and make 15 of those for now. Then if we throw you in the middle and surround you with the improved windmills, we get ourselves an improved windmill. Nice! So, this thing we need to put down on a kinetic generator, I think it's called. We need this guy over here, the kinetic dynamo, and this will start to produce power. So the kinetic dynamo is made using iron, 2 redstone, and a copper wire coil. A copper wire coil is made using iron and some copper wires, as you may have guessed, which is just copper and some sticks. So if we were to go ahead and quickly grab ourselves some copper, which we now have a lot more of because our system has had time to go ahead and process all of the copper that we had in the system before, and we are running out of space real quick in that chest there, which is not very good, but we can go ahead and throw you there. We can go boom, 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 and we can get ourselves a bunch of copper wire. Nice! And then if we were to go ahead and do something like this, we can make ourselves a copper wire coil, and then if we were to combine that with some iron and some redstone, boom, we get ourselves a kinetic dynamo. So, let's go outside and let's just basically show you how this thing works to start with. So we can put this guy down pretty much anywhere. I think I could kind of just put it like here, and it would work. Boom. Nope. Okay, so you can put these down anywhere. However, it does have to be high enough off the floor, just a little higher than I thought it was there, for the wind turbine to actually spin. And it also has to be on that side of the dynamo there. I don't know if you can quite see. There is a little bit of a difference. I thought it would go on that side, but I think either on this side or on this side would work, but either of the 2 sides don't work. But you can put it there and it will start to produce power. This thing is now producing power, and we could hook that up using basic mechanism cables if we wanted to, back to our energy cell, and that would be all fine and dandy. However, much like I said before with the other windmill, if we put it higher up, e.g. on that mountain, we will get a lot more power. Also, I made another little item between the little takes there because I thought it might have been necessary. It turns out it wasn't. But I went ahead and made one of these wooden posts. These are made using 2 treated wooden fences, which are just a bunch of wooden sticks, as well as some stone bricks. And these basically look really cool. Now, this is still spinning. I'm not quite sure why. I don't think it's doing anything whilst it's spinning. Could you, stop? There we go. Cool. Alright, so we'll take these, and what I'm going to do is we're going to head on up to this mountain, and we're going to put these things down and start producing power a lot higher up. So I don't want to go all the way to the top, because that is quite far away, but I think there's like a kind of like a little ledge about halfway up here. I'm going to kind of go there and stick this guy down. Then we're going to run the cables all the way back to the base, which is something that's going to be pretty fun. But for now, let's just go ahead and stick this down somewhere like... Let's see. There is a little bit of a like, it's not really a flat section, but it's a bit of a section that's not as quite as steep as the rest here. A little bit. Is it like here? Yeah, sure. Put it down. You know, this is really high up. We will put our first wind turbine down. Oh, here it is. Here's what I'm on about. This bit here, it's not quite as steep, but it's still fairly steep. We'll put it down here. Boom. All right, we'll stick that down there. We'll then put down our dynamo here. Oh, I was hoping I'd get that right first time. We will put down a dynamo. Oh, did I? Oh, the post kind of goes invisible. Look at that. That's a bit of a weird glitch, but okay. Let me see. I think I have to put it down. Yeah, I think it has to be the other way around. Can I rotate that with my hammer? I can. Cool. Okay. Let's do that, and then let's put you... Come on now. Work with me, game. Is that not enough space? That looks like enough space to me. Let's clear a little bit of space. Also, if there's anything obstructing the windmill whilst it's down, which is... Oh. Okay. Oh, there we go. Which is entirely possible, and also apparently you can just right-click the thing off. If there's stuff in the way, like this thing here I think is like considered in the way, it will go ahead and slow down the productivity of the windmill. So we're just going to clear out a bit of a space here so it can produce a bit more power. And there we go. We now have a windmill up on our surface here. That's a little bit unrealistic, but, you know, we can put that there and it suddenly becomes realistic. We have a little bit of a windmill here that is producing power, and now all we need to do is simply get that power from here all the way back down to our base. It's producing a lot more power than it would because of how high up it is. So let's head back and let's start talking about the cables from immersive engineering. So what I'm going to do is we're going to make a few more of those wooden posts. I'm going to go make some more of those in a second, which does mean we need some more treated wood. But we're also going to go ahead and make some of the cables. So what I've gone ahead and done between episodes is made an absolute ton of electrum. I think we've got like just over a stack of the stuff, and that's going to allow us to start making some of the medium voltage cables from immersive engineering. So there are 3 tiers of cables in immersive engineering. Here's all our electrum. There are the low voltage, medium voltage, and high voltage, kind of like if you've ever played with Industrial Craft 2, and they are all down here. There's a few different ones, but basically there's high voltage, medium voltage, and low voltage. And the low voltage ones can carry 256 RF a tick, medium voltage can carry 1024 maximum, and then high voltage can carry 4096 RF per tick. We're going to go with the medium voltage ones. I don't think that guy up there is quite producing, and he's kind of gone out of range there, but he is still working. Actually, we might have to put a chunk loader over there. I'm not too sure. I think he is still working, even though we can't see him. We are going to have to go ahead and... I don't think it's quite producing 256, but we're going to use the medium voltage one just so we can get the maximum, and I'm probably going to set up a few more up there as well. So just to be safe, we'll go with medium voltage for now, and we can always upgrade to high voltage if we need to in the future. So... medium voltage cables, I'm going to use electrum wires. These are simply made using a stick and 4 electrum, so let's just do that. Boom, and then boom. That's going to get us an absolute ton of cables, and surprisingly enough, we might have to use all 40 of those to get things down. Next up, I'm going to make just the rest of these into sticks, and then try and make a few more fences. We can get one more post, which is not really enough. We're going to have to make some more treated wood, but if we put that there, that gets us another wooden post, and then the final bit of the puzzle that we need to start transferring power is this little guy over here, the MV wire controller. And this, like I said before, there is a low voltage one and a high voltage one. We're going to go with the medium voltage wire connector. It's made using 4 hardened clay and 3 iron. And as with everything else, I've gone ahead and taught my system how to make it. So if we go over here, we have an absolute ton of hardened clay. So if we do something like this, boom, 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 and boom, let's stick these in the middle. Ooh, like so, we get ourselves some of these wire connectors. Nice. So basically, the way that this is going to work, let me quickly try and make one more post here, because I think one more post is going to allow me to demonstrate this pretty nicely. Let's like take 2 of you and make just a bunch more treated wood like so. Did I drop one of those buckets on the floor? I did. Don't really need the flax seeds. Let's put you there and do that, and then take you, and then we'll take all this back. Okay, then let's make ourselves some more sticks, and boom, and boom, and boom. And where is our stone bricks? Are they upstairs? They are. Okay, let's put you there. Let's get rid of all these, and then let's throw down some of these treated fences. That's going to get us 2 more. Okay, so 3 is the number we have. We are going to need more than 3 for sure, but for now, 3 should work. So what we're going to do is we're going to run kind of like real-life looking wires from up there back down to here. So if you've ever been outside and you've seen energy pylons, they have those long cables kind of connecting one pylon to another, and that's kind of exactly how this works. So if we head on back up here, the first thing we need to do is go ahead and put one of these guys, the MV wire connectors, onto here. This is going to allow us to connect wires to the dynamo and start pulling power out of this thing. Now, the next thing we need to do is stick one of these wooden posts down somewhere within a reasonable distance, and I'll talk about this in just a second, like so. And then if we have our hammer on us, do we have our hammer on us? Oh, we're done! Oh, that's horrible. 1 second, guys. Okay, so using the engineer's hammer from Immersive Engineering, we can go ahead and we can right-click and make this kind of little 2-way post like this. I think 2-way is the maximum you can do it. And you can do it in either direction, by the way. So if I got rid of both of these, I could go ahead and do it this way and this way if I wanted to. But for now, we're going to do it this way and this way. And then what we can do is we can put more wire connectors kind of here, and then we can run wires from, I don't want copper wires, I want electrum wires, from here just by right-clicking like so, and then down to here, like so. Now these go, I think, about 10 to 15 blocks, somewhere in that region is the maximum distance. You can't run these too long. Like, they don't go, I couldn't put one here and one back down in base and just connect them up. There is a certain distance. It's kind of hard to calculate, especially when you're going kind of like on a diagonal and down blocks and all that kind of stuff. But about this far is kind of almost the maximum. If I tried to go much further, it wouldn't work. And then we can go ahead and connect you from there to there. And then we can run down the hill a little bit more. Kind of like maybe to here. This might be a bit far. Yeah, I think that's a bit too far, actually. Let's, we could test it if we go ahead and just go like that, stick down another connector, and then try and connect you all the way back up to this one up here. It might work. Yeah, see, it's too far away. So we have to make one that's a little bit closer. I'm going to put one here, and I'm going to move that one a little bit further down in a second. But let's go ahead and do this. Try that again. Do this. Is that just not showing up? It seems to be there. Okay, well, this is a beta version of the mod, by the way, guys. So apparently, sometimes things will just not show up, which is a little weird. But we can connect that up like that. We can then put another one down on this side. Did we get it there? Yep, it's there. Let's put that down. Let's connect you from there to there. And then we'll just go ahead and connect actually from here to here. And then again, same story. We'll put one down like that. We'll put one down on there. We'll go from there to there. And what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to go away. I'm going to make a few more of these poles. If we need more cable, I'm going to make some more cable. If we need more MV connectors, I'll make more connectors. I'm going to go ahead and connect this from here down to an energy cell down there. And I'll be back in a second. And a little while later, we now have something that looks like this. We have pylons running all the way down from up there. And like I said, I will go ahead and put a few more windmills up there, probably between this episode and next. But now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I've gone ahead and picked up the energy cell here. I've got to take a bit of energy out of it, so it's got a little bit of space to fill up here, just to see if this is actually going to work. So we do have to hook this on here so it can receive the energy. And then if we look in here, we're at 1.68. If we hook up from this one to this one and take a look inside, we should. There we go. Okay, so a little while later, this thing is now getting power. So it turns out, for whatever reason, I don't know if you can see that up there, but the front, in fact, has to be that one with the grey box on and not the side that we were putting on before. For some reason, the game doesn't like it sometimes when you try and put it on any side. So just make sure you put it on the side with that little grey box on and then connect it up nicely, and the power should work. Now, in all fairness, this is not the most efficient way of generating power. I believe you lose power the more cables you use. We used a lot of cables. I will, however, go ahead and put some more wind turbines up on that mountain between this episode and next, so producing more power from the wind turbines. But I also want to start using another form of power generation, which incorporates our biodiesel, which we started making last episode, this stuff over here. By the way, I also went ahead and duplicated this setup over here. We now have potatoes being made and turning into ethanol, which is turning into biodiesel, and we now have a nice little backlog of stuff ready to use to be used to generate some power. So another machine that we can make that actually produces a ton of power is called the diesel generator. Now, if you look in here, the diesel generator looks something like this. It's made using a heck of a lot of heavy engineering blocks, as well as some generator blocks and some radiator blocks. And if we were to go ahead and look up immersive engineering, I have a feeling they will be very expensive. So radiator blocks are simply some steel, some copper, and some water. Let's have a look. We needed heavy engineering blocks, which we made last time. I just steel, electrum, and steel mechanical components with some pistons. And then finally, we needed these guys, the generator blocks, which I made using kinetic dynamos, some steel, and some electrum. So what I'm going to do, guys, to save you watching me having to craft all of those, I'm going to go away. I'm going to craft all of this stuff up, and I'll be back in a second. And way too much steel later, we finally have all of the pieces we need to go ahead and make that diesel generator. That took way longer than I thought it was going to take. We needed a ton of steel. I made them all using the quantum flux recipe, so I spent ages and ages and ages mining for coal. I realized that I could have used Mekanism to do it, or I could have used immersive engineering to do it, but both of those would have taken probably longer, just due to the time it takes for things like the metallurgic infuser or the coal coke oven to process stuff. But we finally have everything we need. So if we go ahead and head down here, we should be able to start working on stuff. Now, we are going to need a few more things. First of all, we're going to get our redstonic drill so that we can actually go ahead and dig a hole fairly easily. It's in one of these chests. I would also like to find the remainder of our fluid transfer nodes from extra utilities so we can start moving some of the biodiesel. So I'll take you. Where is... There it is. I'll take this guy as well. And this thing is, I think, like a 3x6. So all we need to do is we're going to put it right about here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's right. And now, if memory served me right, I've looked at this image like a few times now. I think it's something like this. 3 of those there. 27 of these flipping heavy engineering blocks along here. And I missed one in the middle there, which is a bit of a pain. Thankfully, the item magnet makes it really easy to get back. And then 6 of these, like so. And now we have to right-click with the hammer. There we go, look at that. Boom. We get ourselves a diesel generator. Nice. So this thing actually looks really cool. You can't really see it because I've kind of burrowed it into the wall here. But trust me that this thing looks really cool. Let me kind of like dig into here and break like a little tunnel out so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. This thing looks like a flipping cool multi-block, to say the least. I'll dig a bit around it because we are going to need some space around this thing as well. And also, let's go ahead and throw this torch down so we can see what the heck we're doing. But this is what the diesel generator looks like. It looks like a train almost from immersive engineering. Now, I'm fairly certain that we input the biodiesel into these slots here, and there's one on the other side as well. And then we can use, I think, this slot here as a lever if we wanted to turn it on and off. And then at the top here is the output for all of the power. So what we need to do to start with here is we need to get our fluid transfer node, and I think I'm going to go underground for pretty much all of this, and we should also probably invest in some kind of better pickaxe, because we can't use our mining laser in the buildings, otherwise it just destroys everything. We can't use our drill from Redstone because that just destroys everything. We need to get like a diamond or maybe like an amethyst pickaxe like we had before to get all this stuff up and running. Now, we're not quite going to have enough pipes, and I wanted to go like down one lower here so we can kind of cover it up and make it all look nice. So let's quickly go and grab ourselves a few more pipes, which really shouldn't be too hard. It's just glass, redstone, and some stone, all of which we should have a fair bit of. We'll take some redstone. Glass we have a ton of, which is very nice. And then normal stone we also have a nice amount of. So if we go ahead and combine all those up in the good old crafting station. I did crash 1 or 2 times during the making of all those blocks. I keep forgetting that you can't shift click, which is really annoying. I hope they fix that at some point soon. But for now, let's do this. Let's get the glass. Let's do this. I think it's redstone in the middle and glass either side. It is. Let's take 24. Let's go ahead and take flipping 32 of those. And that should be more than enough to start doing something like this. We're going to run you down. We're going to run that down one more. And then around like so. And that should start to transfer the biodiesel from the tanks here if we were to actually put a fluid transfer node there as opposed to just a random block. If we were to do that, that should start to pull things out of here and send it round into the diesel generator. And as you can see there at the top, it is going away. It's just filling up again really quick. Now, this thing is producing power. Let's go outside, and I'm going to again grab the mechanism power cell just to kind of demonstrate the amount of power this thing generates. This thing produces whilst it has biofuel, which is going to be probably always, considering our system is pretty well equipped right now. And if it's not, we can always go ahead and throw some more world interaction upgrades down in the cobblestone generator to make that go faster, or we could go ahead and upgrade the condenser to make that go faster, depending on where the bottleneck is. But as long as the biodiesel generator and as long as the diesel generator is filled with biodiesel, it will produce 4,096 redstone flux per tick. So if we were to go ahead and kind of plonk this down right there, we would see, look at that. Compared to the wind turbines, makes a bit of a noise. Not gonna lie, not a huge fan of the noise it makes, but it produces 4,096 redstone flux per tick. You can pull it out of any 3 of these top slots here. If you pull out of all 3, it will split the 4,096 between those 3 slots. But you see how fast it filled the basic energy cube there. This thing is pretty freaking awesome. And considering we now have this full refinery system set up to where we are constantly producing biodiesel and constantly having this thing filled up, this is going to be a really cool source of power. We can have like a full wall of these if we really wanted to. But with that, guys, I'm going to end today's episode of Feed the Beast Horizons Daybreaker there. All we got to do now is find something to use all this power on, and then we can start actually using it, because right now we're not actually using that much power. The only thing that's really using power is the refinery, which is being used to make the power. So right now we don't really have a huge use for it, but I'm sure we'll find something along the way that we can use to use all our power for. But like I said, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to end this episode there. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit like, and I will see you guys next time.